Welcome to the finale of Sailor Moon Another Story. In this episode, we're going to seek revenge on Apsu for humiliating me in part 36. I trained off screen, and everyone is above the level of 60. As a matter of fact, they are between 70 and 73. 73 is the highest you actually need to go in order to beat Apsu. Although Apsu may still hurt your heavy hitters because of their low defense, still it won't kill them like Femdu Shackle did our entire team back in part 36. That was just a disgrace there. But then again, I wanted to show off the bad ending. Now I'm going to show off the good ending. So with that said, without further ado, let's get ready to kick her ass! In the name of the moon, I shall punish you! Alright, this time Demon Apsu is going to try to pull out a random attack from her arsenal. Hopefully not the one I hope she was going to pull out. But even then, we're at the level where we can actually withstand it this time. So, since I have Pluto on my team, immediately time stop her. Now, the strategy for not using Pluto is real simple. You have the high defense characters in the back and the low defense characters in the front. The low defense characters will block from Hell Attack and Femdu Shackle. The high defense characters will just put on fragrances and all sorts of buffs to make sure that everyone survives. Also, heal regularly. And by the way, if anybody's put to sleep by Sonic Wave, make sure you wake them up. Because if they're sleeping and Femdu Shackle hit them, they're not going to survive. So, since Pluto is on my team, use time stop sparingly, because like the opposite of soldiers, Apsu has to time stop random RNG of 1 and 2. 2 being the maximum turns that you could use. I mean, that she's gonna stay stopped, my bad. That's why I didn't take Sailor Pluto to the opposite of soldiers, because of the fact that there's an RNG of 1 and 2, while everyone else would be automatically stopped for 3 turns. Oh, and by the way, it is between 1 and 3 turns, not the number that appears on the bottom of the screen once you use time stop. That's actually the damage. I got confused, and I apologize for that. You can actually use Pluto to attack if you want to, but Pluto's not going to do too much damage. Also, using a fragrance with a mixture of healing shower will pretty much guarantee your team will tear through Apsu's HP like it's nothing. Make sure you do time stop, because between 1 and 2 turns, actually you time stop every turn. Not 1 turn, not 2 turn, every turn. So that you'll be able to keep doing damage to her and at the same time stopping her from making a turn or pulling out anything stupid like that Femdu Shackle bullshit that she did in part 36. And earlier on in this part as well. Let's face it, folks, if your heavy hitters just so happens to be in the front lines when Femdu Shackle hits, they're going to be taking some serious damage. And speaking of which, I forgot to use time stop in the last turn, so ouch, this is gonna hurt. As a matter of fact, it actually did hurt Venus. It dropped her to critical health. Took all but 101 HP. It knocked Uranus down to half. So, since time stop is up again, this will be the last time Apsu will ever hit me. And now to explain as to why I said this is all Chibiusa's fault. If I would have shown off the opening scene in Sailor Moon Another Story, during the comet that was supposed to hit the Moon Kingdom was supposed to come actually started coming during the parade. And in the parade, Anshar inadvertently bumped into Chibiusa, which in turn, Chibiusa inadvertently dropped her locket. He picked up that locket. And when he picked up that locket, he took said locket to Sin and revived Sin with said locket. And the only reason that Sin was able to tamper with people's face and bring back all the dead villains from seasons 1 through 3, Chibiusa has a memory of all the stories of how Sailor Moon fought Queen Beryl, and at the same time also experienced the fight with the Dark Moon family, experienced the fight with Fury, Princess Snow Kaguya, and also the fight with the Deathbusters. So since she was around for all of that, and she remembers all of that, all the memories from that locket, yeah, by the way, all of Sailor Moon's items are magical, ended up coming to fruition. And speaking of which, her death came to fruition, and we are done with this game. Now for the good ending. Instead of Anshar coming in, and all of a sudden, Sin, Apsu, and all the rest are disappeared, or disappearing from time and pretty much forgot everything that happened for fear of for fear of Apsu coming back. Sorry. This time, Apsu is going to be killed for good. Never trust things with Chibiusa. Everything will be half-assed and probably not completely done. Now then, Sin is back to normal, and it would have been sad if Sin actually died, but she didn't. So, we'll forget that the bad ending exists, and the good ending happens. Yeah, as in the good ending is the true ending that you should worry about. Because Sin finally realized that the Moon Kingdom wasn't her enemy, it was Apsu, who pretty much used her newfound friends, and her brother from the beginning. And now, Anshar is a lot happier and didn't have to worry about disappearing from people's thoughts or timelines. So now, even the cold-hearted Naboo actually has warm feelings, as in friendship. Which is kind of ironic, because Apsu brought all those girls together and Anshar so that they could counter Sailor Moon and change fate. And on the lie that whatever their dreams can actually come true the moment they actually stop the silver crystal from existing, not knowing that Apsu would have just thrown them to the wayside and pretty much take the throne for herself and destroyed all the world or put it in the darkness, one of the two. But in the end, just like Sailor Moon, Sin has good friends now. Oh, and by the way, funny hint and fun fact, all of the Apsu soldiers, Apsu, and of course Anshar, are all named after Mesopotamian gods. Oh, and by the way, here's the locket in question. In the bad ending, Anshar inadvertently bumps into Chibiusa. In the good ending, he gives back the locket. So, all of this was actually Chibiusa's fault. I shouldn't keep repeating myself, but I did. But the good news is, at least she's able to convey her feelings to Anshar, which made the poor guy blush. Pararu would be so mad right now. As would Helios. But nonetheless, it's over. They can finally leave the future. And one other thing that needs to be stated. Since things are starting to return back to normal, Pluto's gonna have to make a new Tower of Time because Apsu destroyed that one. twice. And she also tells Chibiusa the one understatement of the year: don't be selfish. As Season 2, Season 3, and Season 4 can pretty much testify to the fact that Chibiusa is very selfish. Now then, with things returning back to normal, everyone has to go back to their lives now, because all the crazy stuff that happened at the beginning of the chapter has now been reversed. All the memories of the sailor soldiers have actually returned. And also, all the memories of the people who they associate with have returned. So therefore, they're not just some sort of afterthought. Needless to say, this is a really compelling story. And it's time travel done right. Unlike Sonic 06. Nonetheless, because of the fact that things are returning to normal, Hotaru has to return back to normal, as in return back to her baby form. She only became her adult form, or should I say her teenager form, because of the fact that Sailor Saturn had to step in, and there would have been a good chance she had to destroy the world had Apsu had her way. And that also means that Haruka and Mishuru have to take Hotaru and go back home and raise her. So the only way we'll see Sailor Saturn again is if she's actually brought up the old-fashioned way, by growing up naturally and reaching puberty. Whew. Sorry, I had that dead spot there for a second. My bad, I was just clearing my throat. Anyway, we are all done here. Everybody's going home, living on their lives. And of course, this isn't a Sailor Moon game, or should I say a Sailor Moon product, without the fact of Usagi remembering that she has exams to study for. Because Ami will most likely bring it up. That means, despite the fact she saved the world, she's gonna have to go home and study because Mamoru's not gonna let her in unless it's for studying purposes only. With that said, folks, it's over. Usagi's going for dinner. We're done with this game. Now, my final thoughts for Sailor Moon: Another Story. The game has a mixture of difficulties. First and foremost, at the beginning of the game, you'll find it difficult to take some of the enemies down, but at the same time, once you get to a certain level, they're more than likely pushovers. At some points of the game, it speeds up, like Chapter 1, Chapter 3, and Chapter 4, and definitely the last chapter of the game. But the one chapter that drags on in this game, Chapter 2. Most of the playthrough is Chapter 2. At the same time, Chapter 4 actually had a couple of parts too, but most of the playthrough was literally Chapter 2. And it was a rather long part. That rather long section that was solely for Jupiter, Mercury, Venus, and Mars to actually catch up in level. Because Sailor Moon was with Hotaru, Uranus. No, wait. Well, actually, it was Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and that was it. And Chibiusa, oh my god, Chibiusa literally had to catch up in level 2. Pluto had to catch up in level eventually. And this is the one game, if you were OCD about leveling your characters evenly, while their strengths and weaknesses make up for it, sometimes some characters level fast to slow, others level slow to fast. That's how come Uranus and Pluto and Saturn was at level 73, and Venus and Sailor Moon was at level 70. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, this was a great game. It was a good game, and I'm glad that it's finally over, because as much as I love Sailor Moon, I can't keep playing this game forever because it's just a short game. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll focus on finishing up Final Fantasy VIII, and also one other thing that needs to be mentioned. My Xbox 360 will be up and running, so yeah! Look out in the near future for GTA 4. See you guys next time.